Hi, this is Ron Nutter with another edition of Tech Bites with Ron Nutter product reviews. Today we're looking at the newer F100 7-inch field monitor display and 3 things you need to know about this one. Okay, well, before we get started with why, all the things you need to know about this, let's go ahead and get this open and then you can see kind of what to expect when you get your newer field monitor. So we'll go down here and get into the plastic. And always be careful when handling a knife that you don't let it get away from you and suddenly you're looking at a big gash in your hand. That ain't pretty. Been there, done that. Don't need the t-shirt. All right. So we have 4 little four pieces of tape basically keeping the box secured, and I understand that because with some of the things I've had arrive, the tape was about the only thing that kept it all together. Okay, now we'll get this turned to where you can see it. We'll get the cover slid off here. This is a nice box. Some of the ones barely come with anything that amounts to any effort. And I've dealt with the folks at Newer, or dealt with their products long enough, I pretty much know what I'm going to expect. So what we've got here is the monitor that's on top, and we'll get the bag opened up here where you can see it all. Now it's got a nice clear protective cover across the face of the unit. There's all your menu buttons, which should pretty much respond to some of the, like the other field monitors. And I used to not use them, and now I've got them everywhere because it's a handy portable monitor when you're setting up a computer or you're working with producing how-to videos and stuff. So there's all sorts of things you're going to have here. So on the back, of course, we've got our HDMI at the bottom. That's headphone output, so that's going to be amplified. If you're feeding audio that's coming from the source here, then that's when you would use the AV. And then you've got the on-screen display, and then there is actually a upgrade USB port. Now this is for the Sony NP style battery. Now there's 2 ways you can proceed with this. You can either have a collection of the batteries like I do, and that's one way of handling it, or you can get what's called a dummy battery, which will sit in here and then you plug it into an AC source. So it really depends on how you're going to use this. But anyway, and that's got that. We'll take the piece of cardboard out here on the bottom. Got your obligatory manual. Now this is a hood that you can put around this so that if you do have some reflections going on, you can kind of keep the sunlight or whatever studio lights giving you some grief. And there's your ball socket mount, so that's a way to handle that one. Then you have a micro HDMI to HDMI. Then you have a HDMI to mini HDMI, and you've also got your AV out cable plus a bracket if you would need to put things together that way. And then here is another mount that this is the other part of the mount. Okay. This will go around the monitor, and then this has already got the Velcro piece on it, so then you can put on the additional shield. This may be all you need if you're using this in a desktop configuration. If you're using it outside, you probably will need a little bit more. Got your regular desk packet in there. Be very careful if you have pets, folks. I made a mistake the other night, and mine got a hold of a packet. Now, he figured out pretty quick there was no taste to it. But please watch out for our little furry buddies on something like this. Okay, we've got that. Okay, so there is a version of this that comes with an NP battery. And we'll put that in here. So that's really all it takes, and no hidden cables under there. Thing number one, this is the right size for shooting video. I mean, this is my second monitor because I've got some configuration where I just leave the monitor firmly attached, and that way I don't have to worry about moving around or retightening it. And that's the right size. Any smaller and you're not much better off than the monitor built into your DSLR or your camcorder or your video camera. Thing number two, here are the video standards it supports. I could see just everything and I'd probably be pretty close to it. So 1080p, 1080i, 720p, 576i and 576p. Haven't heard of those before, but it supports it. And 480i and 480p. So if it's not in there, this won't work for you, but I have a feeling most of what you're going to be using or looking to this for is going to be very serviceable and it will work. Thing number three, it's got a wide compatibility with all the different video devices that are out there, where it would be DSLRs or camcorders, and it's also got noise elimination, so it's got whatever's coming up off the camera or what it might hear, it's going to do a good job at dropping down the noise elimination. Now, this does use the Sony NP style battery, so the longer you want it to run without changing batteries means the bigger battery you're going to have to use to an extent. The other thing is, if you're going to use this mainly on what I call a studio situation where you're going to be doing instructional videos, or you name the thing where you're trying to set up the video, another option you can consider is what they call a dummy battery. And it's basically a shell of a battery, for lack of a better description, that plugs into a power supply. It's going to feed this device with the right voltage. And then that way, when you turn on your lights or whatever you're turning on, you can have this as a part of that. So that's one less thing that you got to worry about, of having to have multiple sets of batteries and then always running into the one that you thought was charged and wasn't, or it's starting to go bad. So multiple options here to work with. So take a look at this one, and if you're doing that kind of thing, think about taking one home with you today, and I think you'll be very happy with it.